we are ignoring by the social welfare scheme that when they see the FIR reports only.
And they see you as a terrorist wife?
Yeah. They see as that we are the terrorist wife.
April 6, 2007 was a public holiday for Good Friday. It was the day RENU TAKHELLAMBAM's husband Mung Hangzo was shot dead by security personnel. Today, she's among the petitioners who've knocked on the doors of the Supreme Court, which on July 14, 2017 had directed the constitution of a special investigation team to be put together by the CBI to look into 655 out of a total list of 1,528 alleged fake encounters in the state.
Still today that in Manipur there is not a single cases will be punishing to the accusers. Anyway, in the fake encounter cases also, maybe in the rape cases also, maybe there is no justice in Manipur. I think this justice system is very poor in our states. Still today, just we are going on the cases only, not a single cases we are punishable. So it means that justice delay is justice deny. So we want get soon as possible to deliver this justice to the victim families. Time to repeal this Armed Forces Special Power Act in the state of Manipur and the entire of the Northeast. This act is really inhuman act. After we are filing the cases, also Supreme Court that the Supreme Court also that this AFSPA is using the excessive force to the Manipur.
The Supreme Court made some scathing remarks over the allegations of human rights violations by the Manipur police and the armed forces that were brought to its notice in July 2016. It observed that nobody enjoyed any blanket immunity in the event of causing an unjustified death, and particularly with regards to the loss of an innocent life. Following the filing of cases against army personnel, more than 750 soldiers and army officers have approached the Supreme Court, challenging what they believe is the dilution of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, which had originally protected them from any prosecution without the centre's approval. The centre has backed the armed forces.
Right from the training, our conditioning, in our equipping itself, human rights is inbuilt. If you see, how do we train our troops? When a unit is trained for counterinsurgency, all the factors, all the drills, procedures, everything is inbuilt into it. The weaponry which we carry, you see, that itself shows that how sensitive we are to human rights. The discretion, the kind of deliberations we subject to ourselves to while carrying the operations, that shows that how sensitive we are to human rights.
The debate on the AFSPA is back. Manipur has had a long history of insurgency. There is secessionist terror, there's infighting between tribal groups, economic blockades, and there is the security challenge that the police and the armed forces are at the receiving end of on a day-to-day basis. It has claimed many lives before the situation turned for the better. But is the worst truly behind us? The ethnic tension between the majority Métis and the Nagas is a serious pressing concern. But the state government believes that the situation on the ground has improved, so much so that AFSPA can be reviewed.
Thousands and thousands of Manipuri people have taken to the streets here in Imphal to register their massive dissent against the government of India, against state government of Manipur over the controversial territorial agreement that is feared to be signed between the government of India and also the Nagaland government. As a mechanism, the government of India has derived to broker truce and resolve the historic border dispute. But the Manipuri people have a serious issue with that. Thus, irrespective of caste, community and creed, in thousands of numbers, they have taken to the street with one demand, that Manipur should stay as one, united, and there should be no territory which has a lot of tribal relevance, historic relevance, that has a lot of tribal importance to it, and traditional importance to them should be shared with Nagaland. Thus, angry slogans only filling in the air here in Imphal. It's a band which has been called across the state, and they are saying that no agreement should be signed between the government of India, between Nagaland government and any militant organization that compromises the interest of Manipur. They are saying that militants should not be given a chance an inch of a land of Manipur.
Biggest concern for me is about the state problems of bans and blockades, which has greatly affected the studies of our students.
Okay. Do you think these bans and blockades should now go?
Yes, it should now be stopped by the people, thinking that we students are pillars of the nation and studies is so important, so our studies should not be affected.
I'm really disappointed because that's why I'm seeking your help, because now the situation in Manipur is totally different comparing with the past. In the last 1.5 years, the changes which has taken place, you know, peoples are enjoying in the street even in the night. No ban, no blockade, everything has gone now. The people are concentrating on the development now. Time has come to review about the AFSPA, but my concern is, as a neighboring state with the neighboring foreign countries, I'm little bit reservation of it, and generally from my side to review. Time has come to review.
The apprehensions of foreign involvement are far too real. Times now travel deep inside Manipur, up to the international border with Myanmar, to get a first-hand assessment of the lingering concerns and the fault lines. The first indication of the challenges that the people of the state and the security personnel face was an IED, an improvised explosive device, on the highway.
This is quite an unusual scene on National Highway 102, also known as Asian Highway number 1, connecting Imphal with Moreh, a very important connection between 2 points. And thus, it's an Herculean task carried out by Assam Rifles day in, day out to keep this entire road sanitized, to ensure that there are no explosives parked on either side, which can lead to some fatal situation, because it's a busy road, it's a busy intersection which sees heavy traffic all through the day. And thus, even though there is no traffic movement now, because there has been an identification of explosive on this side of the road, and that's the reason the entire traffic has been stopped, the area has been cordoned off.
Prime Minister Modi's Act East vision of developing cultural, strategic and economic ties with East and Southeast Asian countries is evident in the border with Myanmar. A new international checkpost is being set up to facilitate trade.
This crucial bridge, which is a connect between India and Myanmar, we are standing on that very bridge, slightly on the Myanmar side. As you see, people from Myanmar are freely moving inside India. What really allows them is the law. The law which suggests that 16 kilometers on either side would be a free movement zone for people both from Indian side and Myanmar side. That was part of a negotiation agreement between the two countries as part of a peace accord that would facilitate better trade and business. There you see Myanmarese people, they have gone inside India, they are now going back to Myanmar, and this land is basically is the point from where Myanmar begins. Now the concern that security forces from Indian side have been facing that because it's a free movement area. For example, I have simply walked over on the Myanmar side without any resistance because there is an agreement in place. While I am coming into India and because there are no checks and balances, no one really here to check your intentions and what brings you to India and how long will you take to be inside on the Indian side and when will you come back.
The major challenge that we face in carrying out our counterinsurgency operations on daily basis is the terrain. The terrain where we are serving is hilly, it is thickly vegetated with thick undergrowth, and it is very dense. To move in such an inhospitable terrain is a very difficult thing. These insurgent groups which are operating in the areas, they are able to utilize this cover to create camps and also shift on regular basis.
17-year-old Simtharinka has never seen his father. His village, Hauchang, was once rocked by the sounds of bullets and IEDs. But now he's happy to have the sound of music in his life. He's one of 25 children rescued by the army from exploitation, and he now enjoys freedom and education at his home called Disha, run by the army. MOGHAR too was born in a trouble-torn village. He lost his parents when he was just 7 months old. Today he has one family, and that's the Indian Army.
I was coming in this December 2015.
In 2015?
Yes, sir.
Are you happy here?
Yes, sir.
Do you miss your family?
Yes, sir.
Well, have you found a new family in Indian Army?
Yes.
You have found?
Yes, sir.
Do you call Indian Army your family?
Yes, sir.
We are slipping into a very short break now, but on the other side, we will show you our days spent with Army and why do you think without AFSPA, their lives will become more difficult.
On the 4th of June 2015, terrorists belonging to the National Socialist Council of Nagaland Khaplang faction and other affiliated outfits ambushed a convoy carrying 20 soldiers in Chandel district. Days later, India launched a surgical strike in Myanmar's territory. 50 terrorists were killed. And since then, attempts on the part of the terrorists to strike back have not gone unnoticed.
Anything which is there and has a potential to harm us, our troops, we take very serious cognizance of, and it's a threat which, and by the character of an IED, you know, it's so easy to assemble, so easy to carry, so easy to hide, and it can be placed anywhere, and it has lethality. So we have taken measures, we have taken measures, and the results, the statistics are showing that we are in control of things, but yes, we are alert.
The reality is that terrorism is far from over in Manipur. Making a compelling case for the unflinching vigilance by the armed forces and the security personnel.
Barely few meters of distance, but visibility deeply impaired because of such thick vegetation here in the mountains. We are here very close to Indo-Myanmar border, and on these mountains, on these hills, what you find is extremely shocking. These are hideouts often used as safe shelters by militants. These hideouts are here in mountains at a very close distance in many numbers, and militants use them to hide here or stay put here for days, for hours, just to escape the attention of Indian security forces.
Location of these hideouts, it is very difficult to ascertain these locations, identify them, and conducting of operations mainly involve the threats while we are moving, such as IEDs, and also the civilians that we encounter because of a number of policies which are there in vogue.
The world above looks different, and the world underneath is absolutely different for Jawans who stay put here for days just to ensure militant movements do not go unnoticed. It's a catch-20 situation for security forces, and they need to stay one step ahead of these militants who have often resorted to make hideouts, taking advantage of dense vegetation, dense forest in the mountains, thus just to stay ahead of them. And if those hideouts get unnoticed by any chance, they stay put here. Our Jawans stay put in such a small arrangement, which could barely be a 6 feet by 3 feet space, for hours, for days, with their own stock, just to ensure that if there is a militant movement above, that doesn't get unnoticed.
The terrorists in Manipur have tried to expand their terrain of operations from near water bodies to mountains. But the army has consistently pushed them back. Civilian casualties have also come down.
These Fumdis, world famous, they are quiet and they look quaint. But then at the same time, history says how diabolical plans had been hatched on these Fumdis by militant organizations to, in a way, destabilize Manipur. How militant organizations like Pre-Pak, PLA Manipur, UNLF had used these Fumdis for easy settlement.
See, Loktak Lake is Northeast's biggest freshwater lake, and it has a peculiar characteristic of presence of Fumdis, which are the floating biomass. Now, in past, insurgents have been using these Fumdis as a place to prepare their hideouts and hide their caches of weapon and ammunition. So in order to deny these insurgents the physical space, we carry out domination with the help of boats.
The nights in the mountains are different. The threat of IEDs and ambush by terrorists is real. Evident and visible in the dark. The Times Now team captured one such shocking situation.
Another suspected object has been located.
Well, it seems like a situation has just arisen, and that's the reason security forces have opened firing, and do we see the sounds of bullets even coming from the other side. Well, we do not really know what really happened, but whether it's an ambush or not, but then definitely, as you were part of this night patrolling here in Manipur, which was led by Indian Army, all of a sudden there was a situation. That's the reason commands were given from the other side, commands received by the Jawans as they took position. We were kept outside, we were kept at a distance, but then you have tried venture this far, not beyond this. As you see, a situation is certainly unfolding out there with bullets being fired from from this side in response and retaliation of bullets coming from the other side. Who they are they enemies? Are they part of any insurgent groups? We really don't know. But then these are the kind of scenes our security forces encounter almost on a daily basis while they're trying to do the night patrolling, while they're trying to keep the area dominated under them and ensure the area remains sanitized.
Manipur is still caught in the crossroads where the state and the army are often victims of distrust. The army has succeeded in building a better image beyond the alleged scars of the AFSPA. But many in the state are waiting for a more proactive outreach from the BJP government here. The future faces many challenges, but the youth of Manipur pledge to make it more promising. Dare anybody question their patriotism?
It was an evening wonderfully spent with all of them, and of course we hate to say goodbye, but then it's time to wrap up this special episode from Manipur that clearly gives you a glimpse where Manipur stands today, how it stands today, how much it stands together with India. With camera person Sudarshan Parida, this is Tamal Saha for Times Now.